Good morning, one and all. Welcome into the Wealth Guardians radio show. I'm Doug Ray, and with me today, of course, is my co-pilot, Brice Payne.
Hey, Doug. What's your vector, Victor?
Yeah, Victor. All that radio talk and stuff. Well, you know what? We're going to have a good show today. We're going to talk about some obsolete terms in retirement planning, financial planning, investing, and so forth. And then second half, we're going to get into some statistics, some very eye-opening statistics about how Americans save for retirement.
I love both of those topics. Let's do that. And Doug, let's take a minute and thank everybody who puts on the uniform on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, whether that's a military uniform or our boys in blue or women in blue uniforms.
Nurses' uniforms.
Everybody, healthcare workers. Folks, if you're out there putting yourself in harm's way to do what's good for the nation and your community, well, then Doug and I are tipping our hat to you today, this morning, this weekend, saying thank you to you and to your families for doing what you do for the greater good. So there you go. Doug, thank you for your service as well.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you. Hey, it's football season. This is
so
the best thing about 2020,
season.
You know?
Oh, my goodness. This has been such a year. I just have been longing for football to start. You know, when Big Ten looks like it might not have been going on, now maybe it will. All of these teams and programs maybe not going to happen. I was willing to watch Pee-wee football at that point just so I could see some heads bashing. I'm so happy.
Yeah, well, my Packers won, got it started good. My Panthers lost, and your Broncos, they
lost in the last second of the game. Typical Bronco fashion, yes.
But I'm proud to announce that the Wealth Guardians radio show is again this year going to be a proud sponsor of the East Carolina Pirates, and I think we're going to see a much improved season from Coach Houston's squad. I know we got some pretty good recruits in last year. The guys built on a solid foundation from last year. Next weekend, we kick the season off against Central Florida, so it should be an interesting game.
Doug, were you a walk-on on that team back in the 70s?
I tried to walk-on.
You tried to be a walk-on and didn't quite make it.
It didn't. Was very far from it.
I wasn't close, huh? Okay.
I was a pretty decent high school player, but Coach Dye back in those days, he set a high bar.
Well, one of my favorite quotes is from Wayne Gretzky: "You're guaranteed to miss every shot you don't take." So,
amen.
At least you made the effort.
Exactly.
So very good. Hey, so let's get to talking about stop wasting everybody's time out there and start talking about these obsolete retirement planning ideas out there. Doug, I know that when I have casual conversations with friends or coworkers, my wife's coworkers or whatnot, about the subject of financial planning, they will say something to the effect of, I heard this once, and my eyes just open up and I think, well, that absolutely makes no sense financially. Where on earth did you hear something like that? There's a lot of misinformation out there, or incredibly simplistic information.
It really is. And, things like this thing called the 4% rule.
Okay.
I know you're studying for your RICP right now, and you've
2 weeks to go.
2 weeks to go, and you'll have it done. And the 4% rule, the 5% rule, bucket theory, all that stuff, you've been studying that. But what is the 4% rule?
Well, the 4% rule, they've done, there is no shortage of mathematical studies and analyses out there that try to determine what is the most solid performing type of retirement portfolio for you to have. And one of the things that they have looked at is what is a safe percentage that you can take out from your portfolio on an annual basis without significantly damaging or touching the principal of the account. So if you went into retirement with $200,000, what is that percentage you can take out if you've got your assets properly invested? You can take out each year, what percentage, and not really go down below that $100,000 to any significant degree. And essentially the goal there is to have the money last you as long as you're going to last. And they've come up with this 4% rule. But that 4% rule held true up to a certain point. Mm-hmm. And that's because you had a certain amount of bonds and a certain amount of stocks in your portfolio when they came out with that rule. Well, bond interest rates now, the yield that you're getting on bonds is so poor that in the last 20 years that they've now reanalyzed that and said that's not based on the typical portfolio you would have. You can't go by the 4% rule anymore.
Right, exactly. And that kind of leads into the next one, the 10-5-3 rule. And this one is so obsolete. I mean,
I hadn't even heard of this one.
This is like
I had to read this one.
This is a Model T coming down the road, man. This is what this says. It says that over time, you can expect a 10% return from stocks, 5% return from bonds, and 3% return on cash.
Wow.
I know.
3% return on cash?
Yeah.
Sign me up. Where is that?
You can't even get 0.3 on cash now. And bonds? Oh my gosh. The 10-year Treasury's 0.6 tenths of 1%.
Yeah, that 5% is insane. So folks, if you're out there thinking, hey, I heard about this, my dad or my grandfather taught me about the 10-5-3 rule, I'm going to go ahead and go with that. Let me suggest that you might talk to an advisor first before putting that plan into action. Doug, talk about stocks versus bonds and the move from stocks to bonds as you get older.
So it was always thought as you age, you ought to be safer with your money. And the going thought process was that bonds are safer than stocks.
Well, you still want to get safer with your money as you get older.
Yes,
but how you do that is different.
Yep. And bonds are safer than stocks. But there's a problem with bonds. And we just alluded to it a moment ago. They pay absolutely nothing. You're putting your money at risk in a bond for almost no reward. So the reason it's at risk is because if interest rates goes up, the price of your bond is going to go down and you're stuck with it till maturity.
And if you take no credit risk on the bonds, meaning that you go with AAA rated bonds, you're better off putting your money in a CD, essentially.
There are better alternatives out there. Our portfolios, we've talked about how we design our portfolios on previous shows. There are bond replacement strategies. You should have stop losses on your stock side of the portfolio because as you go into retirement, the math changes.
It absolutely does. Yeah, and that's what we are prone to say is what got you to retirement, and the strategies that you use, the investment profile that you used, is not what's going to get you through retirement. And so, Doug, that's going to lead us into why we're passionate about helping people in the triad become well prepared for retirement.
Well, Brice, we are, and each week we do this radio show, and of course we want to invite you to call us or go online and secure a complimentary financial review with our team.
And let's challenge everyone out there. We challenge you to take action and not do this in a couple of weeks or a couple of months when whatever happens in the market or after the election or whatnot. And it's not because we're trying to be pushy, but it's because Doug and I have done this for a long time, and we know that you need sometimes just that little extra motivation to get up and pick up the phone right now. I know from years and years of experience that those who procrastinate make the most mistakes and they regret not taking action sooner.
So, you really ought to take that first step to get a full-blown financial plan and one that's going to get you to and through retirement. Just call us at 336-391-3409, 336-391-3409. Or just go online at thewealthguardians.com, click that blue button, and schedule that second opinion meeting right now. During our review, we're going to help you figure out all the elements of your financial plan. Let me give you an example. We'll help you pick the right Social Security election strategy. We'll make sure your plan is built to weather rising inflation and taxes. And we're going to make sure you have the right income plan in place to maintain your lifestyle throughout your retirement years. And that just scratches the surface of our process.
Yeah, that really is just the tip of the iceberg. Our process, it's comprehensive, but it's not difficult. The hardest part really is for the client to pick up the phone and schedule the first appointment. It's just getting off your keister, going to the phone and calling 336-391-3409. Doug and I look forward to visiting with everybody that we sit down with. We always have meaningful engagements. It's 336-391-3409, or like Doug said, you can get your free second opinion review online just by going to thewealthguardians.com and clicking that blue button, and that'll get you started on getting the second opinion. Doug, I think we've got time for talking about another one here before we go to the trivia question.
Oh, yeah.
Which one do you want to talk about here?
Well, let's see. Having $1 million in your retirement account. It's all you need.
I can't tell you. It's funny. I listen to my wife and when she talks about her job, but apparently she does not listen to me when I talk about mine, because in the 10 years that we've been together, I think there's been at least 4 or 5 times where she has come to me and said, I've heard that all you have to do is have $1 million set aside and you're set for retirement. And I corrected her the first time, saying that's absolutely not true. That depends on so many other factors. And then she came to me a couple of years later and said the same thing. And I know that she has said this to me at least 3 or 4 times. So
it just depends on your lifestyle. It depends upon what else you have out there. Some people need the million, some need 2. Some don't need as much. In fact, we're working with a gentleman right now who's got 3 or 4 pensions plus Social Security. He doesn't need anywhere near $1 million.
Right. So what you have saved is not as important as what kind of income you can generate from those savings for retirement. And if you've got a larger Social Security than others and you've got pensions, as Doug said, then you don't need as much in savings. But if you don't have those things, if you've got a smaller Social Security, you've got higher expenses, or you don't have pensions, then you do need more in savings. But $1 million is so cookie cutter that it doesn't even, it's laughable from somebody in our field. So, Doug, we had some great topics there. What we're going to get to now before we go to the break is the trivia question. And this one is specifically for you, Doug, because I know you know this one.
Let's see.
This week in history, September 15th, 2008. Think back to that time. September 15th, 2008, folks. Okay. We were in the middle of the financial crisis. This company filed for bankruptcy, and it ended up being the largest bankruptcy filing in American history.
Okay.
I know that Doug knows this.
I know.
He might have to think about it. Okay, September 15th, 2008, this company filed for bankruptcy, and it ended up being the largest bankruptcy in American history. Folks, stick around through the break, and we will get you the answer to that compelling trivia question in just a few minutes. Hang tight. And welcome back to the Wealth Guardians radio show. It's Brice Payne here in Chair 1, and Doug Ray is with me in Chair 2. Thanks for sticking around through the break, folks. And before we get to your trivia question in the second part of our show, let me just remind everybody out there, if you are listening and you are 5 to 7 years from retirement, somewhere in that neighborhood, and you want to confirm that you're making the best decisions for your retirement, well, we offer a no-cost, no-obligation second review so you can understand how we help you retire the job, yet keep the paycheck. Ball's in your court. All you got to do is pick up the phone, 336-391-3409. There is no cost or no obligation for speaking with us and doing a retirement planning session. Joy will answer the phone or Lynn will answer the phone, and we will get you scheduled to sit down with Doug and myself. We love meeting with people. We don't bite. It's very easy to do. 336-391-3409. Now, Doug, before the break, we had our trivia question, as we are wont to do. And the question was, on September 15th, 2008, this company filed for bankruptcy at the height of the financial crisis, and it ended up being the largest bankruptcy in American history. What was that company out there, folks? Did you get it right? What was the company that filed for bankruptcy on that date, Doug?
That is an old line brokerage firm that goes way back, Lehman Brothers.
The Lehman Brothers. How far back did they go?
I don't know. It's a good ways. I mean, that was such a incredibly tough period of time for the financial industry. I mean, my old firm, Merrill Lynch, would have gone under if they hadn't been taken over by Bank of America.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's something funny about the Lehman Brothers in that. I don't know, Doug, you've got grandkids. I don't know if you've ever watched the movie Despicable Me.
No.
But Despicable Me is a cartoon. It's a great movie. Steve Carell does the voice for Gru. And he's going in, he's an evil genius, and he's going into a bank, the Bank of Evil, to apply for a loan so he can fund his evil plotting plan. And as he walks into the bank, you can see up there at the top, Bank of Evil, and then smaller underneath that it says, formerly Lehman Brothers.
Oh, touche.
Yes.
Hey, so now we're going to go into the second segment with, I guess you could still call this trivia, but I thought it was fascinating stuff. It's about the way Americans save money for retirement. And, I'm almost speechless at some of this data, but let's get started here.
So these are some stats that we're looking at. Okay.
Let's talk about your 401k and 403bs.
Okay.
There's more than 100 million Americans that have these plans, with over $8.8 trillion.
Okay.
And almost everybody we see has a 401k or a 403b.
They should.
Yeah, they should. But here's some interesting things about those people. Only 15% of them use the catch-up provision.
Okay.
Now, folks, if you don't know what that is, that says basically once you turn 50, you can add more money to your plan to catch up for maybe times when you were, sending the kids to college or whatnot. You can do the same thing for an IRA.
Yeah.
But 15%, that strikes me as an extremely small percentage.
Well, yeah, but I guess another way I might be looking at that, I don't know if this is true, but maybe so many people did a good job of savings up to that point that they don't need to catch up. And it's just the people who were negligent in saving to the large degree. I don't think that's true, but you're right. Folks, there is that catch-up provision out there. So once you turn 50, you're able to contribute more to your 401ks, your 403bs, and your IRAs. If you weren't aware of that and you thought you were maxing things out, but now you're over 50, well, be aware that you're probably not maxing things out anymore and you can actually contribute more.
Well, here's another statistic that I thought was pretty odd. You know how you and I are big proponents of the Roth IRA?
Very much so, because we've seen the math.
Only 20% of plan participants use the Roth side of the 401k.
Yeah. And you and I know that because we see a lot on a yearly basis. We see probably 100 or so portfolios come through us that we analyze for our clients. And we always see IRAs in there, traditional tax-free accounts in there, but probably only about 1 out of 4 clients will have actual Roth monies to any significant degree. So you're right. You can contribute. Doug, tell everyone out there what the difference between a traditional 401k and a Roth 401k is.
Well, obviously, in a traditional 401k, the money you put in there is basically coming off your taxes, so you're not paying tax on that right now. You will eventually later when you take the money out. Now, on a Roth side, if you make a Roth contribution, you'll pay taxes up front. It's going to go into the Roth. It's going to grow tax-free. But more importantly, when you take it out, it comes out tax-free.
Yeah, so if you put in $20,000 into a Roth for 20 years and it's grown to $60,000, you can take out that full 60 and not have to pay another penny in taxes, at least by today's rules.
Here's another amazing stat. On average, there are 17.4 mutual funds within a 401k or a 403b plan.
Pretty slim pickings.
But only 2.4 are used by people. You know why?
Because they don't know what they're doing.
Bingo. They don't know what they're doing. They're not getting much guidance from their companies, and they're not getting very much guidance from the plan provider. So what is the fallback? Those target date
funds. Yeah.
Yep.
And we've seen a number where people come in and they never really realized that they had to pick something in the first place. So what is the default investment when you open up your 401k? Well, it's a money market in there. And a lot of people just didn't realize that they were supposed to pick an investment and they thought the 401k is what's growing. No, folks, the 401k doesn't grow. It's the investment within it that grows. So you have to have some guidance on creating the proper mix of mutual funds within your 401k or 403b so that it's not taking on more risk than you feel comfortable with, but yet still positioned to grow adequately for you, whether you're retiring in 30 years from now or 2 years from now. And almost always, Doug, we see people come through here who just really don't understand how their investments are divided up within their 401k. And it's been like that for years.
Yeah. Well, this next one's a big peeve of mine.
Give it to me.
If you have a plan where your employer or your organization will match you in some fashion, can you believe 34% of participants do not contribute up to the match?
Now, that one is... There's no rhyme or reason to that whatsoever.
That's free money, people.
Remember, folks, your employer is paying you based on all of the compensation. So if they're saying, hey, here's what you get for a paycheck, but we're also giving you this amount into your 401k as long as you contribute as well, and then you're not contributing to your 401k, then you are basically telling your employer that that's okay. I don't need all of the compensation that you originally told me you would give me. I'm okay with just getting a part of that compensation.
That's like walking by $100 bill on the floor and not picking it up.
Yeah, I don't feel like bending over right now.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Hey, it should be pretty clear if you listen to our show on a regular basis that we truly understand what you're going through as you prepare for retirement. You've worked 40 some odd years to build your lifestyle and get to this point. You don't want to risk it now.
No, yeah, particularly if you've worked 40 years, like you said, Doug, we get it. You absolutely deserve the peace of mind of having what we provide. It's a customized written retirement income plan that we're going to provide you. We have been doing exactly that for hundreds of families on an annual basis in the Triad for more than 20 years, helping our clients protect their income. What else do? We optimize their Social Security. We help them maximize tax efficiency, and we help them achieve their retirement goals. That's what gets us out of bed in the morning and here to the office sometimes before dawn breaks, Doug. We truly care. Our process reflects that. And it involves financial planning. It involves listening carefully to who we're sitting at the table with. We research your situation thoroughly, and we help you build a long-lasting relationship. We want you to be not just a client for the next couple of weeks or for the next year. We want you to be a client for life.
Yeah, we love this stuff. Every case is different, and just love to dig into them. And if you want to talk with us about what it looks like to put your plan together, what kind of financial plan, and how that process works, first, you're just going to call us right now or go online and let us know you'd like to visit. And we'll touch base with you, set up that time, and we'll meet for our initial review. And if we determine that we're a good fit for one another, then we'll put together your plan, and it's that easy.
It is. It's quite simple. So, folks, get in touch with us while it's on your mind right now. Remember, this is no cost. This is no obligation. There is no risk in it for you whatsoever. Just give us a call. Our phone number is easy to remember, 336-391-3409. 336-391-3409, or get your second opinion free. It's a review. It doesn't cost you anything. It's thewealthguardians.com. If you don't like the phone thing, there's the internet thing, thewealthguardians.com, and just click on the blue button. And Doug and I would very much look forward to sitting down with you and seeing what help or services we can provide for you.
Well, let's get back to some of these statistics.
I love these statistics. I think we should do a whole show on this.
In the first segment, we talked about people think that stocks should get 10%. Well, let's take a look at that. Let's look back 5 years.
All right.
2015, the S&P was a minus 0.4%. 2016, it was 8.3. 2017, it was 18%. 18, it was minus 5.3%. Then in 19, it was 22.4%. And look what we've had this year, all over the bloody map.
Depends on what week you're looking at it.
It can be very volatile. We've had a very volatile few years. So you just can't say, hey, stocks, if I invest in stocks, are going to get 10%. Historically, and I mean over a 75-year
period of time, yes.
Yes, you're going to get close to that. But you can't say you're going to get 10% in retirement. We would never game plan your retirement around a return anywhere near 10%.
Well, we'd be derelict and we'd lose our licenses if we did that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a good one. Yeah, that 2018 where we went down 5.3%, that was just in the last 4 weeks of the year. If we had looked back just from January to November of that year, we were up about 20%.
Yeah.
So
I think we've got time for one more thing.
All right.
A lot of times Americans will change jobs. Rarely do they stay with a company for 30 or 40 years, but it happens.
We see a few, but not too many.
So a phenomena that's going on is when you change a job, you leave behind a 401k. Mm-hmm. Well, you can do something different with that 401k. You can roll it to your new employer's 401k. Okay. You can roll it over to an IRA.
Yeah.
But 80% of participants will leave the money in the old 401k. Now, why would they do that?
Well, that's what my wife did. She had worked in a number of different hospitals before we got together 10 years ago, and eventually came the time where I wanted to consolidate her accounts, and she had about 5 different 403bs out there. And it took me a couple of days to get them all consolidated, and she kind of watched over my shoulder at times and thought, I would have never been able to do this. But I think it's because that's not first and foremost on somebody's mind. They know the money is still invested. They still get a statement, unless they've moved and they didn't update their address. Which my wife did have one of those. So I just think it's not something that people think about doing. And folks, ask yourself, the IRA statement or the 401k statement that I get, is that reflecting all of my monies? Or is there something else out there that I'm maybe forgetting about somewhere? Let us help you figure that out. That's a good thing to leave in the thoughts of their minds as we close out this weekend. Doug, what are you up to this weekend?
Well, this weekend we're going to spend it up in the mountains again, watch some football games, and just take it easy.
Very good. All right. Well, I wish you the best in that. And folks, I hope you have a good rest of the weekend as well. That phone number one more time, 336-391-3409. Let's go get our game on, guys. Take care.